Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Football Fignuts podcast. This is Season 4, Episode 5. If you count them all, it's 155. I'm Craig.
My name is Britt, and Craig, we are back. It is time for our favorite time of the year. It's the draft prep roundtable episodes.
Ooh, fun times.
You know what that means.
Beer and arguing.
Guests. What's that?
Beer and arguing.
Yes, beer, arguing, but most importantly, guests. So let me introduce our guest. We had two guests lined up for tonight. Unfortunately, for those who don't know, we kind of had a tropical storm move through our state yesterday. Many of us are without power, so the cinch could not join us today. But we do have a three-time home league champion, a DFS connoisseur, and the slowest drafter in the history of fantasy sports. Our good friend Sean is with us tonight. Sean, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. And I'd like to correct you. It is five-time home league champion.
No one's counting.
See, I do that on purpose. I actually do that on purpose. I knew it was at least 4 or 5, but I said 3 because I knew he'd correct me. But before we get down to our quarterback conversation tonight, our quarterback focus conversation, let us begin where we always begin. Let's throw to our guest first. Sean, what are you drinking tonight?
I have a can of Kentucky Lightning.
Oh,
ooh, it's a good one.
The 2020, the most recent.
This is, I am not sure. I got it from someone who works at Two Roads.
Just recently?
Just recently.
That's the 2020. Yeah, this year was very good, very bourbony. Have you tried it yet?
Nope. Here it goes.
Oh, here we go.
Push.
We're gonna wait. This is a fancy beer, guys. This is a limited run beer, and it's not cheap.
That's true.
Oh, that's nice.
Smooth, right?
Very smooth.
Is it
the bourbon
bourbony?
is very smooth. Yes, you can definitely taste the bourbon caramel notes to it.
Oh yeah, that's actually exactly the way to describe it, is bourbon and caramel. I bought a 2-pack of that, and I intended to give one to Craig, and it never made it out of my fridge.
It's a thought that counts.
Yeah, so next time I go to Two Roads, I'll have to get you some. Craig, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, I actually have another Two Roads beer. This is the collaboration beer they did with Rhythm Brewing in New Haven. This is Black is Beautiful. It's an Imperial Stout. It's also 8.9%.
If I remember correctly, Rhythm Brewing is not only a minority-owned brewery, which is something that is sorely missing in the industry, but if I remember correctly, their brewmaster is a woman, which is also uncommonly rare, unfortunately, in the brewing industry. There just aren't as many women brewers. So that's fantastic. I have had their stuff before. I'm not a stout guy, but man, can she brew a stout.
It's good. It's very. I had one the other day, but it's very. I don't want to. It's not coffee. It is strong, but you can taste like rum and vanilla in it. So it's not like if you think of Expressway. It's nothing like that.
Correct. It was more of a traditional imperial stout. You get hints of cocoa or cocoa nibs in it, but you don't get chocolate or coffee out of it. You just get that kind of hint of it. So I'm the only one not drinking a Two Roads beer tonight. My first beer tonight is from Threes Brewing. It's called Logical Conclusion. Threes is a brewer that runs outside of the Industrial Arts Building in New York. And this is an IPA. Let me open mine.
Push.
And I did try this one, but I don't remember if I liked it or not.
We'll find out.
Find out. Oh, very dry up front. Oh my God. Sahara Desert style.
I can imagine the face Britt is making right now.
Yep. Well, you've seen it all too many times. Very, very dry. Nice flavor, but very dry up front and throughout. I don't know that I could drink a lot of these. But...
And now we will have technical difficulties as Britt tries to clear his throat and try to get saliva to talk.
You know, as an aside, I ran a Zoom training today, and I had terrible allergies all day. I had to cough like 6 times in an hour-long Zoom training, and I'm like, these people are going to think I have like COVID or something because I was coughing so much. But I don't. It's my allergies, and
allergies
COVID
do
is
suck. They do suck.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, when my allergies cause cough, it's not a dry cough. Let's just put it that way. It's not dry, and that's a big thing. So All right, so couple quick news and notes, and then we're getting right into the quarterback chat. Our plan is next week we will release the running back episode. The week after that, we will have our roundtable on wide receivers, and we will finish August with our roundtable on everything else, and probably talk a little draft strategy. We should have Cinch back next week. It's just a power issue. Heck, I almost had an issue. There was a 3-hour period yesterday where I had no internet or cable TV. Let me tell you, it took me about 30 seconds to realize my only option was my DVD player, and I took it. So, we do want to recognize that yesterday there was a terrible tragedy in Beirut. There was a massive explosion. I'm sure you both have seen it.
Yes, crazy.
Sean, have you seen the video of this explosion?
I have. It was very shocking to see.
That
when you're
nitrate,
not sure.
that was so to give you like an example, remember the Oklahoma City bombing?
Mm-hmm.
That was
the same chemical he used.
Yeah, it was he used 2.5 tons of it.
Okay.
And half of the building was gone.
Right.
In that tank, there was over 2,000 tons.
Wow.
So almost 1,000 times as much detonation force. Yep. My God. Well, yep. We know there's several Americans out there and non-Americans in general too. Send our best wishes over there. I don't know how many people listen to our podcast, but we are thinking of you.
Yes, prayers are with you guys.
Yep. News and notes. I'm going to start right with baseball because we have the
it's still
Mets
going
fan
on.
with us, and it's still going on. So let's start with Yoenis Cespedes. What the holy hell? I'm upset by this, and I want to hear Sean, because Sean is a fellow Mets fan. He's suffered with me through many, many games. Sean, the Yoenis Cespedes deciding to opt out scenario, how did you feel about it?
I personally didn't care. I was kind of hoping he would play and do well so he could get another contract. But when he wasn't and they were benching him anyway, and he wasn't going to make his incentives, him opting out wasn't very much a surprise.
Do you think he left because he wasn't playing well, or do you think he left because he was worried about contracting COVID?
I think COVID was the excuse to not having to deal with the other issues.
I agree. My issue isn't that he opted out. My issue is how he did it. He literally cleaned out his hotel room, called his agent, got on a plane and left, and then told the agent, by the way, better let the Mets know. And I'm sure the agent was like, you didn't tell anybody you were doing this? So tomorrow, Sean, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take tomorrow off, but I don't want you to tell anybody at the agency you work for. And at around noontime tomorrow, after you've been missing for several hours, I will call and tell them that you're simply taking today off. Yeah. How do you think that'll go over?
Oh, that'd be great. I think they'd be very pleased with me.
Uh-huh. And me. Think about it. Think about it, too. The agent doesn't walk away from this clean.
Mm-hmm.
The agent, he obviously, players don't do stuff without their agents knowing it. Period. They're like their new mom and dad. He had a conversation with him Saturday about wanting out. And the agent probably said to him, well, if you want out, tell the Mets you want out. That agent now walks away looking like crap. Yoenis looks like a terrible teammate.
Definitely,
he looks like a quitter.
Definitely bad communication all around. And the fact the Mets put it out quite like that was kind of dumb too, I think. But anyway, the locker room's probably better off without him anyway. I've never heard him being a great teammate anyway. So,
and not for nothing, you missed the entirety of 2019 because you were rehabbing for an injury that took you away for most of 2018. And during your rehab in 2019, you stepped in a gopher hole and you twisted your ankle. Just nothing about this feels good.
Something, yeah.
Nothing about the Yoenis Cespedes story feels good. I will never say it's not okay. I will never claim that someone should not opt out if they feel they're unsafe. And let's face it, we've seen a lot of lacks of masks in dugouts. If he felt unsafe, he's fine. I'm fine with that. My issue comes with how you do it. How you leave matters. And right now, if I were a GM at another team, I would not be looking at giving him any sort of deal other than league minimum to come to my city because I can't trust A, he can stay healthy, B, he's taking it seriously, and see that he's going to be a good teammate and be upfront with us. He hasn't demonstrated any of those things in the last 3 years.
Agreed.
Craig, what's your take before we move on? You're the Yankee fan. What do you think?
Just about how he went about it, Yeah, I think I don't know, as from a team perspective, it just kind of messed up. Like, I understand if he doesn't want to play because of COVID, fine. Like, nobody's going to hold that against him. But to just get up and leave and be like, yeah, bye, and not really tell anyone is kind of screwed up.
Yeah. Next piece of news, really quick, is that I am a genius. An accidental genius, but a genius nonetheless. Damian Williams has decided he is going to opt out of the 2020 season, which instantly justifies me taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the second round of the Scott Fish Bowl.
That does.
So all of a sudden, I look way smarter than I am.
Congratulations.
Do we think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the impact player that people are predicting him to be?
Obviously they'll come up in the running backs discussion, but
sure.
My take is that his price is going to be too high for me to justify taking him where he's going to go.
What if I told you his current ADP is 19th overall? So second round mid.
Sean's looking at like 4th round.
No, I was never looking at it that late.
19th is about where we took him. Just for the record.
My only drawback with him is the offense that he is on is so high powered that
how much opportunity will he actually see?
Yeah. You know, they're going to throw 60-yard touchdown passes and he's going to get the ball a couple times a series, maybe. So that's my only thing.
It's a good problem to have, though.
No, it is.
As a Chiefs fan.
If you're a Chiefs fan, but not as a fantasy perspective.
I mean, I would definitely be, confident picking him in the late second rounds. I don't know about, 19th?
Not a 19th overall.
You definitely take him in the 3rd round, is what you're saying.
Definitely 3rd round.
If he's there.
Which is where he was going. His ADP a week ago was 29th overall. He's moved up almost 10 full spots.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, because if you looked at their offense, they don't really need a huge. I mean, last year. I mean, obviously with Hunt, he was great, but last year they didn't really need a big dominant running back. So are they going to need a big dominant running back now? I doubt it. Is he going to get good? Is he going to get big production? Good production? Yeah.
They didn't need a dominant running back
last year. No.
Damian Williams rushed 17 yards for 104 yards, including a 38-yard touchdown against the Niners in the Super Bowl.
Well, in the Super Bowl, but
you could argue they don't win that game without Damian Williams, and the only reason Patrick Mahomes won it is because he's the quarterback, and quarterbacks always win it. You could make that argument.
I will give you the Super Bowl, but during the season, wasn't that much of a factor, fantasy-wise. I mean,
wasn't.
I had him in a league, and he was underwhelming for maybe for where I picked him. I don't know.
No, I don't know. He did only have 500 yards rushing. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. But he only played 11 games.
That's probably part of it too. But that goes to show they didn't need the running back.
All right, fair enough.
Are they going to utilize him? I mean, who knows?
But you know who they do need? They do need a quarterback, and that leads us into our quarterback roundtable discussion. So right now, in this call, we had meant to have over 100 years of combined fantasy experience. Unfortunately, we lost Cinch to power issues. So we have roughly about 75 to 80 years of fantasy experience in the room. And by the room, I mean our 3 separate studios. I'm coming to you from the Frank Gore studio. Craig is, of course, in the original Blake Bortles studio. And Sean is broadcasting from the Mitchell Trubisky Memorial Studios.
I was going to say Fragile Fred.
Fragile Fred? You're going to go with Fred Taylor? You should have the right to name your own studio. You want to go with Fred Taylor? You can do that.
You can do that.
I picked the one year he actually wasn't injured, so.
That is true. Sean crowed about Fred Taylor every year in fantasy, and then the one year he actually drafted him, which is why I've always said, don't listen to what Sean says, follow what Sean does. Because Sean talked about Fred Taylor all the time, but I think he only drafted him twice.
Yeah, I think so.
So
the first year I drafted him, and everyone was like, "Oh, good luck with him." And I'm like, "He's due," and he was.
And 6 years later,
I waited and picked two injury-prone running backs, and they both were healthy that year and won the Super Bowl. So
you bet all of your money on the Washington Generals. They're due.
And I just found out that Fred Taylor is the same age as me. It's scary.
That still makes me older. Anyway. All right, so really quick, I want to run by our consensus top 20 again. For those of you who have not listened to the consensus episode, please go back and listen to it. About a month ago, we sat down and revealed our rankings. Very quickly, our 1 is Patrick Mahomes, followed by Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott. Kyler Murray is our number 5. Deshaun Watson.
Oh.
You don't get to interrupt yet.
Oh,
you be quiet. Okay. Deshaun Watson is our number 6. Matt Ryan is number 7. Drew Brees at 8th. We have Aaron Rodgers at 9th, and Josh Allen rounds out the top 10. Carson Wentz is at 11. Tom Brady is number 12, so in a 12-team league, he is the end of our QB1s. Starting off our QB2s at number 13 is Matt Stafford, followed by Jared Goff. Ben Roethlisberger comes in at 15. Daniel Jones comes in at 16, mainly my fault. Number 17 is Baker Mayfield. Number 18 is Sam Darnold. Number 19 is Ryan Tannehill. 20th is Kirk Cousins. After that, in the also-ran category, in order, we have Jimmy G, Joe Burrow, Drew Lock, Tyrod Taylor, David Carr, and Phillip Rivers as our 26th quarterback. Now, Sean, what were you about to say?
I was just going to say, I interjected at number 5, and I was going to say pretty much the top 5 were all pretty much the same consensus-wise, but after that, then it becomes a shit show.
Actually, that's mostly true. Sean's top 5 is the same as the consensus top 5. Mahomes, Jackson, Wilson, Prescott, Murray. I had the same 5 players in different orders, but Kyler Murray and Dak were both out of Cinch's top 5, and Kyler Murray was outside of Craig's top 5. So let's start the conversation there. We had Mahomes as the number 1 guy across the board back then. Are we still all on Patrick Mahomes as your first option? So let's start with Sean. Sean, Patrick Mahomes, is he the first option? You're looking quarterback. You're in, say, round 3 or 4. You're ready to take a quarterback, because I still think that's a little early, but let's say that you're ready to take a QB, and they're all still sitting there. Is Mahomes still your guy?
For me, I can't say for everybody, but for me,
sure you can. That's why we have you.
Mahomes to me is still the first quarterback. I still am a little wary of those running quarterbacks. I know Jackson has shown that he can throw, but there is a lot of rushing yards there, but once their rushing goes down a little bit, their points go down a little bit because they haven't quite caught up most of the time with their passing. And the high injury risk for those running quarterbacks. So for me, Mahomes is a little safer in that regard. So for me, number 1 would be Mahomes, but obviously Jackson is phenomenal. That's why he's number 2, even though he's considered a running quarterback.
I'm just going to interject really quick here. The difference between Mahomes and Jackson for me, other than the fact that I'm a Kansas City homer, is weapons. There are far better weapons in Kansas City overall,
definitely
across all the positions, than there is in Baltimore. I don't want to hear that Baltimore's tight ends are up and coming. Up and coming is nice. Up and coming is like hearing about a new pizza place that might be good while you're standing outside of one of the famous pizza places in New Haven. I'll take the Travis Kelce, who's famous, and I know I'm going to get good out of, over whatever's going to come out of, was it Hayden Hurst? Is that who's there now?
And Mark Andrews.
Yeah, Mark Andrews is good. But it's tried and true. It's the car that you know is going to get you 150,000 miles versus the shiny convertible. Mark Andrews is the shiny convertible right now. I'll take the tried and true. So for me, it just comes down to weapons, and there's no comparing. Let's not even have the conversation about Tyreek Hill and Marquise Brown. Let's just not have it. Let's just move on from that. I'll take Sammy Watkins over Marquise Brown just for consistency, and that's saying a lot. So, Craig, number 1 guy on the board. Is it still Patrick Mahomes for you, or do you have somebody else? And why?
Yeah, for me, it's still Patrick Mahomes. just because, again, because how many weapons he does have, he doesn't run as much as Lamar, which is what my issue is, drafting Lamar high. So that also helps. And plus, for me, too, it's a lot with his coach. Like, I think for me, if he had a different coach and, that's what happened, say next season, he left, whatever. But I think the coaching with him has a lot to do with it.
We've already heard the Harbaugh retirement rumors once. We've heard them once before that he wanted out, and Baltimore convinced him to stay. We haven't heard that about Andy Reid. Andy Reid has yet to walk out on a head coaching job. He was shown the door in Philly. Kansas City used some sort of voodoo to ground his plane as he was flying to Denver and managed to convince him to stay there, which I can imagine led to John Elway standing at a window, staring in the direction of Kansas City and shaking his fist like an old man telling you to get off his lawn.
Or sad music playing in the background.
Oh my God, yeah. like Everybody Hurts by REM or something playing really light in the background.
I think Andy Reid doesn't get enough credit for the success of Kansas City's offense. Because everyone there is talented, but, the coaching has a lot to do with it. And if you had a different coach, you have a different team.
His offense is just remarkable. I mean, his ability to coach anybody pretty much on offense is great. I mean, people keep on saying, oh, the Bears, obviously, I think, picking Mahomes would have been better than Trubisky, but Mahomes wouldn't be Mahomes if he was in Chicago because he doesn't have Andy Reid. Let's face it,
And Chicago reached into Canada and grabbed Canada's Andy Reid. What the hell was the name of that guy they brought down from the CFL?
God, who cares? That was such a disaster.
So they bring down who cares because they're trying to replicate Andy Reid. And let's be honest. If there's a problem in coaching in the NFL, it's that we put too much stock in X worked with legendary coach Y, therefore X is a good coach.
See Bill Belichick.
See Bill Belichick. See Bill Parcells. See Joe Walsh. Bill Walsh. Joe Walsh is a singer. Bill Walsh, man, this is only 7%, I swear. See Bill Walsh. It literally, everyone talks about coaching trees. Everyone talks about coaching
sometimes
trees.
It works, but not often.
Doug Peterson he won Philly a Super Bowl. And that's the thing. They keep going back. Oh, the Holmgren tree. Oh, they love on Monday Night Football. They love to pull up the picture of the Green Bay Packers, like 1993 or 1991 coaching picture where they're all posed in Mike Holmgren's room together. There's like 40 of them because John Gruden, Andy Reid, and some other random guy. Oh God, the guy. I think it's what's his name who just retired from Cincy. Cincy's old coach. You guys had forever.
Marvin Lewis.
I think it was Marvin Lewis. They were all on that staff. John Gruden was like the water boy on that staff. That's how long ago it was. But everybody's like, look at this. Mike Holmgren's a genius. He hired John Gruden. Yeah. Lightning strikes sometimes, guys.
Yeah,
it's just
like Andy Reid is some offensive shaman, and he just picks up dirt and twigs and rocks and says some voodoo and throws things in the air and makes up plays.
Have you seen the Gridiron Heights where they did the ripoff of Avengers Endgame?
Yes.
He played Doctor Strange.
Pretty much.
And that's essentially what he is. He looks into some sort of voodoo future and goes, there's a 70% chance this will work. Mahomes, go do it. And Mahomes just goes, okay. So
in his little kid voice.
Yeah. His little kid voice.
As long as Mahomes stops going to large parties in Lake Tahoe with no masks, I'm okay with drafting him.
With Kelsey.
Yeah.
Stop getting my team sick.
I mean, well, they were on a boat. I guess.
That makes it okay.
With like
cruises
30,
are like
with
the
like
first thing they
30
shut down.
people.
No, it was just private boat.
Yeah, with
first
30 people.
Cruises.
Oh, okay. 30 people.
I don't care if it was private or not. If there's 30 people on the boat, it's 30 people on the boat. It only takes one of them to infect the whole boat. All right, so moving forward.
Yes.
If we're all in agreement that Mahomes is the one, when is it too early to look at Mahomes? Think standard redraft, no keepers. When do you consider starting to look at a quarterback? It's Mahomes. If Mahomes is gone, are you waiting? If Mahomes and Jackson are gone, see, for me, it's like round 4, depending on where the draft goes. But if round 4, I'm liking my running backs, I'm liking my wideouts, the good tight ends are starting to go or not a value at that point. If Mahomes and Jackson are gone, I'm waiting another round or two. But if Mahomes is sitting there around 4...
Oh, yeah, they take him.
That's not going to happen, though.
Is that too early?
No, I think round 3 or 4 you're looking at it.
There's always going to be somebody that takes him before that.
Usually. Let's imagine there's not. Because you are going to be in some leagues. There are leagues where he slips to round 5 or 6.
People that know what they're doing.
Yeah, especially when we change our league to 1 running back and screw Sean up. Watch what happens.
No, don't do that.
No, I still like the 2 running back thing. Okay, so we're saying 3rd or 4th round based on how a draft goes, obviously.
Yes.
If he's there in the 3rd round, I would draft him.
What if you have no running backs? What if you've gone wide receiver because of the way the board has fallen?
Oof.
So now you're in the 3rd round. You're coming back, and you've got Mahomes or you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
If Clyde is there in the 3rd round, I'd take him
over a Mahomes.
Yeah, because I need the running back, and I can get value for quarterback later on.
Now, for our friends who are in Superflex leagues, which is essentially a 2 QB league, how early is too early for Mahomes? I don't put it past the 2nd round.
I would go end of 1st round.
Late first round?
If that. Superflex? No, you can go really early in Superflex because you need the quarterbacks.
Top 5 picks?
You could, yes. Yeah, you can. I've seen Superflexes where they're 2 quarterbacks are gone by pick 6.
Craig, how early is too early in a Superflex?
Yeah,
is there such a thing as too early?
In a Superflex, I don't think there is a too early.
Yeah.
For Mahomes, anyway.
Can he be pick 1-1?
In a Superflex? Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think McCaffrey's still going 1.
So let's play that out. So where is that pick? So McCaffrey goes 1. Would you take Mahomes at 2, or do you look for running back still at 2?
I never liked...
I'm thinking running back still.
Still got to go 2.
I'm liking Saquon at 2.
Yeah.
So, all right, so Saquon goes at 2.
3 to 5, yeah.
3rd pick, that's where I start to think about Mahomes.
Yep. The Superflex, definitely.
I am not sold on Zeke.
No, not anymore.
I was completely sold a year ago. I am not sold on Zeke.
Sold that
There's
stock.
too many red flags. Above and beyond the COVID stuff, there's...
It's still a little too early for Thomas.
Thomas.
Is it?
Michael Thomas.
If you get a full point for
receiver.
reception?
Yeah, imagining a full point PPR.
Yeah, I think it's still too early. I think you got to go Mahomes.
I would take Zeke over Mike Thomas. I would. I don't know if I would take Mahomes over Zeke. But that's where the conversation starts happening in my head. So if I'm sitting in a super flex redraft and I don't have one of the first 2 picks, Mahomes is on my radar.
Definitely.
Is Jackson on your radar in the same way, or is Jackson late 1st round at best?
For me, Jackson's later. Because Jackson reminds me too much of RG3, and he's run first, and from a fantasy, even if you were a Ravens fan, like that, that's exciting and extremely scary at the same time. Because one hit, he's done for the year.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that with Lamar, I might go Elliott. I might go Elliott before him. I might go Michael Thomas before him. But after that, if I'm sitting there at 6 now?
Probably.
Especially if you watch him.
I'm taking Jackson. There might be people that want Kamara before Jackson.
Kamara's an option too.
But I'm definitely 6 or 7. You're taking
because
Jackson.
If you watch Lamar run and the way he cuts, that's just, I don't know, it's scary for a quarterback.
But
he's
still,
great. He's an unbelievable athlete, but it's just scary to watch sometimes.
I think you got to take it at 6 or 7, though. in a
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with Sean on this. I think you got to think about it. Again, you can't definitively say, okay, yeah, if he's sitting there at 6, because you don't know what's happened in those first 5 picks. There's guys you can reasonably presume are gone, but don't forget, a year ago I was sitting in 2 roads and a guy took Deshaun Watson in a best ball 4th number overall, and then lectured us all that we were going to be sorry, and then Watson stunk. That was the year he was throwing interceptions like crazy near the end of the season. So 2 years ago, sorry. Anyway, all right, so moving on. We're about halfway through the episode, so I'm opening my second beer.
Gotta hurry up.
My second beer, gonorrhea?
Gotta hurry up. We've only gotten through 2 quarterbacks.
Well, it's a round table. We're just going to talk about general stuff.
All right.
General stuff. And I have another topic. But I swear to God, his mic cut out for a moment. I thought he said gonorrhea. And I went, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Does Patrick Mahomes have gonorrhea?
Well, he was on that boat.
All right, I'm opening my beer.
Sorry.
It wasn't your fault. It just happened. Kent Falls, I'm drinking Superscript IPA, which is another Imperial Pale Ale, which is very nice. And it's Kent Falls. I have yet to have anything from Kent Falls that hasn't been fantastic. So, all right. So next topic, looking outside your personal top 10, give me the sleeper, the guy who you look outside your top 10 rankings, but you think could sneak into that top 10, maybe even a top 5 role. Let's start with Craig on this one.
Oh,
Who's
man.
your sleeper quarterback?
Outside of top 10, huh? Let me just look at this really quick.
Yeah. Given
Yeah,
Sean
I think,
time
and this
to
is
think.
going to be I know it sounds like a biased choice. I think it's going to be Joe Burrow. If I had to pick
Yeah,
one.
you had Joe Burrow at number
Because I was
13
trying
overall.
to not be over optimistic because I'm a Bengals fan and I've been disappointed many times. So
You're
that's
the only one who ranked him inside the top 15.
that's why. But I think if everyone on the Bengals offense stays healthy, which is a very big key to this, I think Joe Burrow can become a top 10 fantasy QB.
Okay. Sean, who's your guy?
All right. Well, mine's a little bit more difficult because I had Ryan and Allen outside the top 10. I had them at 11 and 12. They could easily be within the top 10. Because I kind of waned on Breeze and Wentz a little bit, seeing them could go lower. So those are the obvious choices of Ryan and Allen. But the other one I would say would be Stafford. I could see him having a really good year and breaking that. I had him at 14.
Yeah.
I don't know what the consensus was.
The consensus was 13.
13, but I could definitely see him within the top 10 and having a very good year. My reasoning?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's fair.
To tell you the truth, I just have a feeling that he can make that top 10 this year.
Sometimes you got to follow your gut. My concern with Matt Stafford is I think there's a possibility he opts out or doesn't play a full season because he does have family who are medically compromised. And he's already on the COVID-19 restricted list as a result.
He actually just came off today.
Yep.
He came off today. Okay.
So did Galladay.
There was a whole thing about that. His wife actually posted stuff about that and was very upset of how they put him on the COVID-19 list, and it ended up being a false positive, and they put him on the list before really knowing and how it affected them. So the wife was very upset about that.
Wait,
Yeah, 'cause she's the one that's compromised.
Affected them how? You had a false positive. Okay, so you're put on the list for protective purposes. How is that a unfair treatment?
Because it didn't need to be made public yet until they got the second tests or whatever.
He goes on the list. He's a pro athlete. He is paid to disclose his injuries. It's considered an injured situation. You know what I mean? I think she's overthinking it.
She definitely was overreacting in some points, but the way they got treated because they're public figures, she was very upset because they were. You'd have to go online and look at what happened with them, and see that there does have to be like considerations of, hey, yes, he tested positive here, but you know what? They want to have a second test to confirm it, and they put him on the list and made it public before they did that very quickly. So it ended up being a false positive, and everyone was negative on their family, and literally their kids got kicked off of playgrounds because people heard that he was positive.
But that's because people are jerks, not because they were on the positive list. That to me is a different issue. Then you know what? Then by all means, hand back the millions of dollars your husband makes every year, and be okay with him, and would be okay with your privacy.
I understand that, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure you. I appreciate you kind of explaining their point of view. This is the life you have chosen. No one has put a gun to your head and said you have to do this. So I hope Stafford has a great year. I've been a big Stafford supporter. I've got 2 names on my list. My 2 guys are very simply Daniel Jones, because I somehow have ended up all in on the Giants offense.
You did. I
don't know how that happened, but it happened.
Why?
But my other guy is Kirk Cousins. Why am I all in? I think I'm buying into the new coach myth on them. I think they're very talented. I think they're more talented than their record and their output has shown. And I think a new coach in there is going to make a big difference on that team. That's just my gut feeling on that. Kirk Cousins, I think I've got Cousins at 19. Minnesota, I think there's a possibility that Kyle Rudolph actually plays more than like 4 or 5 games this season and contributes. And if he can do that, and Kirk Cousins can remember that he actually has a solid amount of money coming his way from this team, I think they could actually do well. So those are my guys.
Cousins, I've always, with that offense, no more Diggs. I've always thought Thielen was more of a slot guy, and now he's got to play more of a prominent role, and I think they're going to rely more heavily on Cook than ever.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Cousins being.
All right.
I think he's a decent quarterback. I don't know about top.
I respect that. Next topic: who is the one guy who is good but is going way too high? Let's talk about the top 5. Let's look at the top 5 quarterbacks, because that's really your first 6 rounds in a standard redraft. We got Mahomes, Lamar, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and Deshaun Watson. That's our top 6. I said 5. I read 6. I'm a beer and a half in. Leave me alone. Top 6. Which one of those guys is not a top 6 quarterback in 2020?
Dak.
Let's start with Sean.
I
know you think Dak. That's why we're starting with Sean.
Yeah. Well, it could it could very easily be Dak, but Dak has a little bit of a track record of being able to produce. I think it could be Kyler Murray, just because everyone is so up on him because of the weapons that he has now. And if he doesn't produce, because, he's still a pretty young quarterback, if he doesn't raise his game, he's not making that top 5, top 6, status.
Agreed. Craig, what do you got? Tell us about Dak Prescott.
For me, it's Dak, because I think
Shocked.
everything with everything that's going on with the Cowboys since his COVID party and then his contract, I just think the Cowboys are teetering between being sort of good and being a complete mess, and they're walking a really, really fine line. Because let's face it, we drafted Zeke multiple times. Zeke is not the same player he was his rookie year.
No.
And that became a huge part of their offense. Then you have Dak, who, this whole thing with his contract and the party thing, and who knows how angry Mr. Jones is about that. Excuse me. And then you have, Amari Cooper. He's good. He drops a lot of passes. And then name me someone else that's a receiver there. Exactly.
Blake Jarwin?
I just don't. I don't see. No.
That's right. He's in Buffalo.
Yeah. I just
Sean,
don't think
number 2 receiver.
Oh wait, it's
Cowboys.
CeeDee Lamb is there. there.
Oh, that's right. They drafted CeeDee Lamb.
Number
Well,
what?
He's an unknown commodity.
Yeah.
Number two in Dallas?
It's CeeDee Lamb, yeah.
No, there's Amari Cooper and Gallup.
You telling me Michael Gallup is the number 2 over CeeDee Lamb?
Right now, yeah.
I'll look it up.
I find that hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that Michael Gallup is the number 2 anywhere, let alone on a team that just reached out and drafted CeeDee Lamb.
Let's see.
Hey.
No, yeah, he is listed as the number 2.
That just furthers your argument, Craig.
CeeDee Lamb is listed as the
doing.
starting slot receiver.
I can see that I can definitely see 1, 2, 3 right there. I mean, if anyone can name the 4th receiver, that'd be great. But
it's probably me.
I will go through their other receivers. You ready? Devin Smith, Noah Brown.
I heard of him.
Aaron Parker, Tevin Jones, Kendrick Rogers.
He's in jail.
Cedric Wilson, and Ventel Bryant.
Got 3 broken knees.
If you want to play a game of who's that guy, that's it.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, after number 3, who knows on that team? Yeah.
All right, so I see that. Dak going too high. I'm kind of with Sean here. Kyler Murray is the one I'm worried about. I still like Kyler Murray, but I am worried that we're overvaluing him.
I'm still gonna pick him probably 5th of the 5th, the 5th quarterback, but I'm doing it based on potential other than safety.
Right.
Would you take Kyler Murray in a dynasty league?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No question. Which leads us into our next question. Who's the one guy everybody loves this year, but you're steering clear of? You want no shares of? Craig, we know, Dak Prescott. So, Sean, who's the one guy that everyone loves you're steering clear of? Like you said, you would take Kyler Murray, but he's the one you have the least amount of faith in. Who's the one guy you're like, no, I don't want to touch that guy?
Again, it goes with my bias of running quarterbacks. I would probably, just because I'm not sure of who he is Allen. I just don't know. I just don't know who he is. I would probably stay clear of him. Yeah, there's other. I mean, for me, there's other quarterbacks that I would pick just before him, and then I would probably wait till after he was picked to pick my other one. That would probably be my bar of where I picked. I was like, all right, well, he hasn't gone yet, so I don't have to worry about these people. But there's a guy I want before him anyway. So to me, it would probably be Josh Allen. I'm just not sold on him yet.
I'm kind of with you there. Craig, am I correct in assuming Dak Prescott's the answer to the question, or do you have a different answer?
No, that's the right answer.
Okay. Leads us to
guess.
last question. One last question before we get to final thoughts. I'm going to give you a fill in the blank here. Blank quarterback will be great if blank happens. Craig, what quarterback will be great with a situational result? So blank will be great if blank happens.
I'm going to have to go back to what I said before. I think Joe Burrow will be great if no one on the Bengals offense gets hurt. And a little asterisk, and if they find a replacement for Bobby Hart, because I'm sorry, he is just not a great offensive lineman.
Fair enough. Sean, what quarterback will be great, and what is the condition that makes him great? Could be great if the condition is met. I should say it that way.
Oh, my goodness.
You know what? I'll give you a second to think, because I'll toss mine out there. Because again, these guys didn't know these topics. I just kind of threw them at them. For me, Matt Ryan will be great if he can stop turning over the ball. Yeah. That's it. He's got the weapons there. I like a lot of what I see about the Atlanta offense. We all know Julio has great talent, but Matt Ryan has been sinking down the board on everybody but Cinch. Cinch put him at 4. All of us, Sean and Craig, both put him outside the top 10. Matt Ryan will be great if Atlanta as a team can stop turning over the ball. All right, now back to Sean. What do you got?
I I agree with your Matt Ryan statement, but I'll go somewhere different. I think Carson Wentz can be great if he stops getting hurt.
That's a great point.
That's good. That's good.
That's a mic drop moment. No one could argue with that. He was on his way to being MVP a year ago before he got hurt. Or 2 years ago.
And he doesn't even have great weapons, but he just needs to stop getting hurt, and I think it can work.
You don't think Alshon Jeffrey's a great weapon?
Oh.
That hurts Sean.
Chicago.
That hurts Sean. All right. Let's move on to our final thoughts for this. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts?
Yeah, we're almost 15 minutes in. We're at the 48-minute mark, right? And there's 3 of us, so we have to take extra time here for final thoughts. I'm going to start with my final thought first. I'm going to do the opposite of what they used to do. Did anybody ever remember the sports reporters on ESPN?
Yes, but I'm going to open my second beer because I haven't done it yet. Hold on.
All right, so we have a moment. What's your second beer?
My second beer is a raspberry milk stout by Left Hand Brewing Company.
Oh my God!
Nice.
None of that sounds good to me. Oh my God!
Wait, that's offensive to left-handed people.
Oh.
He is a left-handed person.
Yeah, so am I. You're outnumbered.
My God, I'm the only righty on this podcast.
Yes.
My favorite from them is their chai milk stout.
Yes, I've had that, and that is very solid.
Very good.
That's solid. But all right, so I'm gonna do the opposite of what they used to do on the old ESPN sports reporters, which I don't even know if it's still on. But Dick Schaap was always the guy who went last. Remember Dick Schaap before he passed?
Of course.
Rest in peace. He always went last. He'd make all the reporters go first, and he got the last shot in. I'm going to do the opposite. I led this conversation. I'm going to go first. What's that?
Mike Lupica
every week. 17 minutes on something that nobody cared about, like the quality of hot dogs at Yankee Stadium. Nobody cares, Mike. Nobody cares. And he could never get straight to the point. It would be like, everyone loves baseball. 3 minutes later. And that's why it's so upsetting when the hot dogs aren't good. I'm like, what?
Hey.
Really?
If you were a hot dog, would you eat yourself?
I think I would. That's classic right there.
Oh,
all right, anyway, final thoughts. I'll kick it off. I am amazed that we got through an entire episode about quarterbacks without Craig bringing up Fitzmagic.
Yeah.
See that?
Craig, I drove it up to your door with blank will be great if blank happened, and you just didn't take the bait.
I didn't take it. I did not take it.
Kudos to you. That's my final thought. Let's go to our guest. Sean, what's your final thought on quarterbacks this week?
My final thought is do your research, but also go with your gut. My thought here is Sam Darnold can be really great and be a surprising quarterback this year, or the opposite could happen and he's going to be a bust. So
Craig has him in the top 10 this year.
And I have him at 22, but you know what? If it was coming down to a second quarterback in a non-super flex, non-2 QB league, Darnold could be a sneaky pick there. So, you never know.
I like that.
There's my thought.
All right, Craig, what do you got for us tonight?
For me, hi Deb. And
hi,
really,
Deb.
this is
Hi Deb.
I mean, if you didn't really follow the Bengals, or Cinch would know him because he was on the Patriots.
Who follows the Bengals? Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Or the Bears.
Yeah. Well,
Jeremy Hill, he was a Bengal. The Bengals drafted him from LSU in the second round a while ago. And sadly, in 2015, he had a fumble in the playoffs for the Bengals, and they lost that game mostly because of the fumble. So, he went to the Patriots, then he got hurt, he didn't play. So the Raiders signed him on Monday. 2 days later, today, Wednesday, they cut him. I don't know why.
Oh.
That's very sad. So I'm going to say this, Seattle, you need a running back. Call Mr. Hill. Let him be one of your running backs because...
Why does he need a running back?
Because running backs drop dead in Seattle for reasons we don't understand. Something in the water. They had 4 guys on the injury list by the end of last season.
So yeah, I hope
They brought
Jeremy
Marshawn
Hill
Lynch out of
finds a job.
retirement, for God's sake.
That
That's
is
true. So yeah, I hope Jeremy Hill finds a job. So yeah.
Jeremy Hill, as in the Jeremy Hill / Giovanni Bernard double.
Yes.
Really, he's having trouble finding work. Wasn't he a Patriot at one point?
Yeah. Then he got hurt. He tore his ACL.
I'm sorry. Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, and Carlos Hyde. Those are their 3 running backs.
Yeah.
Yes. And there's a better than 50% chance that only one of them ends the season actively playing.
Okay. And their 4th running back as of now is Travis Homer. So,
yes. Travis Homer?
Yes.
No, it says no homers. You already have one.
Travis Homer. Where do I know him from? I know that name.
Was he on another team?
No idea.
Probably. But you know what? That's a conversation for the running back episode. So we'll save it for next week when we have Cinch back with us. And Sean, we hope you will join us next week for that episode as well. In the meantime, leave us a review wherever you listen to us, on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Player. We're all over the place, on Spotify. Leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or anything you'd like to talk about us on air, we are at Fignuts DFS on Twitter. We are fignutsdfs@gmail.com via email. We are happy to talk to you and take your questions and put them into the air, particularly if they're about running backs, and you get them to me in the next 6 days. But until then, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Sean.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast. Thank you for listening. Have a great week, everybody.